which direction will Mad... Oh, so they're actually going to go for the... Perhaps Tahm Kench, yes. Okay, so they're saying, you know what? If you're going to go for that very single target CC, we're going to go for something which has a lot of protection, good scaling, and when you have Tahm Kench plus Black Shield, a lot of utility then offered to the Jinx and late game protection to help manage the Olaf that's going to be trying to dive on your face.
And there's the Aphelios immediately out from Gala. Jinx is not something Kazi's played at all so far at MSI, but of course, he did pick it up a couple of times during the LEC.
His series versus G2, he really popped off on the champion. Definitely something that was kind of banned a lot as a result of his performance during the playoffs, so he's definitely on comfort. As we move into the second phase, though, it looks like that Lucian will be taken off the board. So that AD mid laner that Humanoid very comfortable on. I was worried that with the Lucian being open, Xiaohu would try and grab that early, but RNG actually want to save topside pick, probably because they know that Armin is a little bit more of a carry player. He does like to play those top lane champions, things like Aatrox, Wukong, Lee Sin. You know, he's not really a Sion player. Can, of course, play Gnar. He did play a fair amount of Gnar during the playoffs, but to me, that does suggest that RNG is saying, you know what, we want to try and either get that counter pick for top, or maybe even for Cryon. They have been giving those counter picks to the mid lane as well, but it looks like more of a mid lane mage matchup from what I'm seeing so far.
And one of those is going to get removed as Victor is banned away. As you said, the Gnar and the Wukong still available for the top laners here. In the mid lane, you know, Humanoid likes his Orianas. He has played a bit of the Victor as well as the Twisted Fate actually fallen well out of the meta. We saw that quite a lot in the playoffs as one of the picks. Taking their time over their final ban.
On Jinx, they really want to funnel and away. Nocturne is the only other pick that's often used as an answer to it. We know that Armit can also play that champion if he wants to. I'm not sure
Oriana for Humanoid in the mid.
it's changed. We might not get the replay.
Yeah, I did wonder with there being a pause right in the middle of it.
Yeah, I was hoping, I'm hoping, but you know, we'll stay optimistic. We'll see what happens. But wow, what a crazy fight! Because remember, the Mad were kind of avoiding these skirmishes for a little while, and what that looked like that it was just going to be a standard trade, you know, Rift Herald in exchange for Dragon.
Yep.
Especially when Wei is on the bot side of the map and all the Mad Lions members are on the top side. There's no reason for RNG to really force fight there, but Xiaohu says, I think I can force fight it, you know, or at the very least I can be a bit of a pest, because the bot lane of Garlet and Ming had rotated around and were in a position to try and challenge in some way, shape, or form. But even then, they're still at a numbers disadvantage. So what ends up happening, he flashes out, and then you've got a bunch of Mad members chasing after him, which then ends up leaving Kazi and Kaiser, who's trying to follow up through the river, to get collapsed on by Wei, who's run up from the Drake, and Gala and Ming that are already in mid lane that can also collapse.
Destiny and Destiny.
Exactly that, the Twisted Fate ultimate too, of course, right. Oh, so here we are, we're gonna get that replay. So here, this is the collapse that we were talking about on the bot side of the map, the 4 versus 2. Both of them tried to flash out to safety, but the chase down coming out from the Olaf and the Aphelios is just too strong. And at this point you think, okay, well the team fight is over. Meanwhile in the top lane, Humanoid and Armor chase down Xiaohu, and Humanoid is just using his range to keep RNG at bay. And what then happens next is Ming is very low HP, so Armut is saying, that's a free kill. Yeah. So he dives in onto that, and then Gala's like, it's fine, I'm Aphelios, I have an item. If this guy comes into me...
I think we're going to drop it quite hot into this fight, by the way, so I'm...
Okay. Let's get ready for it, medic.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Okay, so wait, Armut's jumped onto Wei. Cryin trying to join the fray, but he hasn't got much mana. Triple kill for Armut. Cryin, does he have the mana to do anything here? Humanoid, no shockwave. Armut, no flash. Cryin dodging around as much as he can. Armut goes in, uses the clone. Cryin pops the stopwatch, gets a little bit more mana. The TPs are coming in. RNG over-investing into this play. Xiaohu will not be able to chase. And Betty, the scoreline now reads 5-4.
So, I believe that was an ace for the Mad Lions.
Yeah, just super delayed.
And a quadra kill for Armut. The fact that they were able to turn that around is kind of crazy, because the fight, as we mentioned, looked lost. And I'm not sure if we're going to get the full replay, but let's kind of take stock of, we are going to get a round out of what happens in this replay. So, Wei, at the very end, ends up being caught out. He thinks that with Cryin, they actually have the ability to win out on the 2 versus 2, but Armut, he just has so much durability. The red buff also helping him heal up. You have the shielding from Humanoid, who's just stacked on mana, and the mid-top duo is just able to turn it around. So, wow, crazy stuff. Now, Medic, let's just kind of like recap for us like the current state of the map.
Okay, so we're 18 minutes in. RNG have had the gold lead for the entire game. They are still 2,000 gold ahead. They have 2 dragons to their name. Ocean Drake will be up in 3 minutes' time. On the side of RNG, Gala is fed. He's had a ton of plates put into him. He is at 1.5 items. Wei is pretty big as well, as is Cryin. For Mad, Armut is Giga fed. Everyone else is a little bit weaker, although I will give credit to Humanoid, 1, 1, and 4 with a 20 CS lead in the mid lane. Let's look at where we are in terms of gold. You can see Gala 1,600 gold ahead of Kazi right now.
And that's basically where the gold difference exists. Yes, there's a bit of a jungle diff too. Wei has been, well, that's because Wei has been getting these kills, but the reality is that what top lane has done is equalized the difference, because the early laning phase obviously did not go great for Armut, and Cryin, the TF passive, was able to make up for that. Now we see Cryin TP attacking Armut.
Armut has no flash here, could look to use the clone. The rest of RNG are on their way. Everfrost will root Armut in place. He's going to try and turn it back onto Xiaohu, but there's really not too much that Monkey can do in this situation. Wukong will fall, shut down, goes over to Xiaohu.
And that was just a big overstep from Armut. He had a great performance in that last team fight, but now he ends up getting punished for it. Great use of the teleport from Cryin. Xiaohu's already in lane. The rotation from Gala and Ming as well. And these are the type of picks that RNG is going to keep looking to leverage as they break down the 3rd outer tower.
RNG will get that mid-tier 1. Humanoid is pushing down the bot side, but he's not even going to be able to get the tower there. That sequence of plays, it was a TP from RNG for a shutdown on Xiaohu and a mid lane tower, whereas Mad Lions got a few CS here or there, and that gold lead once again balloons up to 3,500.
Yeah, it was a close team fight, but the end of the day, RNG have only extended their gold lead. They've gained so much more map control. They're continuing to steal away enemy jungle camps. They're pushing in these waves, and they're setting up for the next straight. RNG demonstrating why they are considered one of the favorites for the whole thing, and why they are looking so good. Great early game performance from them, and Mad's still waiting for those items, waiting for that team fight that can swing the game heavily in their favor.
And we're very much getting to that point that you mentioned earlier, Vedius. The Mad Lions have a good team fight composition, but if you are half an item to an item behind when it gets to those team fights, you are likely just to lose out on those fights. You can see Gala already has Runat and the Kraken Slayer complete. There's a rapid fire cannon and an Everfrost on Crying. They are so strong right now.
There is a caveat. Oh, it hit me. Gala currently doesn't have flash, and if Armut's just one-shots him, he doesn't get to use his gold.
I mean, that is true. The best CC is death, as they say.
That's the caveat, right? Yeah, Kazi is very much behind Gala, and if they can just get to play the standard team fight, then that's true. But what Armut is going to be looking for is a flank. That's what he always does when he's playing the Wukong, and he's going to try and create these pockets of vision where he can come in from behind. But that is, I believe, a Baron that is being started off by RNG, and with the Aphelios, they are just going to melt through it, so RNG could very well force the fight that they want right now.
This ward just outside of the pit will spot RNG doing it. Armut is working his way up through the river, hasn't teleported yet, but does have the TP, 3000 HP on the Baron. There's the TP, it's too little too late, you got to feel that Baron is gone. RNG secure it, Moonlight Vigil coming in, the Shockwave only hits onto a Ragnarok target and they're trying to dive onto Gala, but Armut is already dead! The best form of CC is death. RNG read the manual as well. The hook goes a little bit wide for Ming as Mad Lions try and turn this fight back around. Xiao, who's been forced up towards the top side. Wei is down as well, but RNG will get the Baron and a 1-for-1 trade.
Wow, I'm surprised with how slowly Mad reacted to that. They had Armut's TP, Elyoya had Flash, and they still don't commit to it. They have their eyes on the Drake now. They're going to try and get something back at the very least, but RNG with an extremely confident Baron take. They were like, listen, we know how far ahead we are. We know how quickly we take this Baron. You either fight us or we get this objective for free. And they're going to walk away with the Baron. Beautiful execution from the side of RNG.
Elyoya has to flash out of the back of the pit because RNG were on their way to take names. Humanoid going in here. Armut's going to jump forward as well. Does have the flash, but doesn't have the Cyclone, so doesn't really have a way of locking Xiaohu up, and Xiaohu can just jump away as the Gnar. A 50 CS lead for Xiaohu in that top lane, and have another look at this Baron play.
So Elyoya chooses not to flash in. He may very well just lose his life if he takes the gamble, but then Armut commits to the fight anyway. They look for that wombo combo of the Orianna ultimate into the Wukong ultimate, into Kazi's ultimate, but they've already disengaged. It only lands onto the Olaf that resists the crowd control, and then the rest of RNG disengaged. So the fact that they're able to get a Baron, end up trading 1-for-1 overall as well, RNG are looking confident. They're just looking to continue this snowball against Mad.
Already got 2,500 gold out of this Red Bull Baron power play. How much more can they get? Armut is in a side lane, does not have the teleport. This tier 2 in the bottom lane will fall. RNG going to get 2 more towers to their names in just a couple of moments' times. Gold lead ballooning once again, 6,000 ahead. And RNG are in just such a strong position to win this game. The only saving grace for Mad Lions is Armut. 4-2-2 on this Wukong, but even he is 1,000 gold behind Xiaohu as RNG continue to step forward into the faces of Mad Lions.
Yeah, Kazi is also just so much further behind. Like that gold gap, or that 3K, it's just absolutely crazy. Gala having an incredible performance. RNG successfully played through bot lane. We haven't really seen a huge amount of early game presence from Elyoya, and the difference is really starting to be felt right now. If Kazi can get a kill or two, perhaps get that shutdown off of Gala, there's a way for him to bounce back into this game, but it feels like that it is just in RNG's game from start to finish. Yes, it was a little bit of a slow start, but overall they took every single plate, they used the Twisted Fate ultimate well, they had good control over the Dragon, so while they are 2-2 right now, they also had strong control over Rift Herald, and they got a very clean Baron. I just don't want to see RNG now go for a 4-5v5 fight, because that's how they lose. The way that they've been controlling this game is by playing the waves well, by utilizing Crying in the side lane, collapsing, perhaps using numbers advantage. I do not want to see them just... I know they are ahead, but that's how they throw that game. Just trying to go for a 5v5. They almost did that earlier on in the day as well against Pentanet, and it is a risk that they need to be mindful of.
I mean, they always did it versus C9 yesterday as well. They got aced, even though they were quite far ahead in the game. Wei here looking for the Steel Strike Breaker. Smite will secure it. And the issue, I think, for Mad Lions is the further we get into this game, the more gold RNG are accruing, and the harder it is to find a good fight for yourselves. Because even if you catch out Crying, you have to deal with Gala, who has 3 items and Infinity Edge complete on this Aphelios. Even if you catch out Xiaohu, there's still Wei and Ming there to follow up and get the CC down. Mad Lions are looking for picks, are looking to make catches, but RNG are advancing their vision line here and making it harder and harder for Mad Lions to see anything on the map. Armor jumps forward with the Nimbus strike, and here comes Wei. Armor does have the flash, gets away with the clone, the decoy used, and the Abyssal Voyage from Kaiser will bring Elyoya across as well. Destiny was popped by Crying for the vision, I believe, as he just went straight to the side of the bottom lane.
Exchange of ultimates, of course Crying using that ultimate as well, but RNG just keeping all 3 waves pushed in, want to maintain control over Mad's jungle. There are no real objectives for them to play for right now, so they're just trying to deny more jungle camps. Make sure that whenever Mad try to enter their half of the map, they feel stressed, they feel nervous. There's all this vision that they have to try and clear out. The RNG can then reset, restock, replenish, come back for the Drake, and know that Mad Lions is going to be on the back foot. Just very clean execution so far for RNG. The only blunder they've really had was that team fight up towards the top lane, which again initially looked very good, and then it just kind of ended in disaster. So beautiful stuff overall from RNG, really cementing themselves as right now the best team at this tournament. If they do win here, they'll go to 4-0, and they could be looking to end, I believe, well, there's 5 games in each team play, and then you do the second round robin, so 10 total.
10 altogether.
Very close to that 5-0, obviously.
And it's great to see from RNG. You've got 3 players who haven't been on an international stage before. Wei, Crying, and Gala have never played internationally. Of course, Xiaohu has literal years of experience, 7 different tournaments, Ming, of course, an MSI title back in 2018. But the question is, well, the question that I had was, could they continue their form that they had in the LPL on the international stage? And so far, they are doing that and more. They are looking stronger, in my opinion, than they did in the LPL. As Mad Lions look to try and make a Baron for Ocean Drake trade. Gala will secure the Ocean Mad Lions, stepping forward here. They're on Scuttlecrab Vision. Xiaohu almost got that Mega Gnar bar up. The Baron goes down to about 10,000. Mad Lions have to choose, do you stick or do you flee? Wei caught out with the Zap. Mad Lions will disengage, and they lose the Ocean Drake and don't get anything for it.
Xiaohu having Mega Gnar is probably what makes that play so scary for Mad. That's a good binding, though.
Shockwave used as well. Xiaohu down to about half HP, so Mega Deathhook not going to do too much. The Moonlight Vigil with the Infernum will take Armut down to half HP. However, RNG still looking for the hook. Armut, the one caught out. He's going to try and get away. The Cyclone Pop, the Ragnarok used as well. Crying coming in from the side with the Destiny. Armut goes back in, uses the second part of the Cyclone. Kazi gobbled up by Kaiser to try and keep him alive in the middle of this fight, and RNG will turn their eyes straight towards the Baron. There is not a moment of breath.
I mean, they can, because so many ultimates have been used, and Gala's just going to melt through this objective. Elyoya can't get close.
Elyoya flashes in. Kazi trying to do what he can. Ming down to half HP. They're trying to turn it back around. Here comes Armor. Gala secures the Baron. Xiaohu going to be forced off towards the top side. Crying, trading onto Humanoid down towards the bottom. It's 2v1 as Humanoid continues to keep himself alive, just flashes away. But all of RNG escape with the Baron, and with an easy way now to close out this game.
Such a clean performance from RNG. That dance around the Baron was just so flawless in how they just kept baiting out these ultimates. They knew that Xiaohu had the TP to rejoin the fray as well. And once Mad had invested so much trying to get that kill, that Baron suddenly became a lot less scary. This wombo combo that Mad has just doesn't exist anymore. And Elyoya was forced to flash over the wall just to get anywhere near the pit. So just really good awareness from RNG to recognize that with Gala, they know they can melt through that objective. They know that with Xiaohu there as well, they have enough tanky bodies. And just really great execution from RNG, now mounting a 9k gold lead over Mad.
They've got 2 minutes on this Baron buff as well to try and break open these inhibitor towers. You can see the lead, top lane 2,000, jungle 2,000, mid lane basically even, bot lane 3,000 and 2,000 down towards the support role as well. RNG very much in command of this game. They have been since minute 1 pretty much, totally in control. And Mad Lions have to find some sort of avenue, some sort of window of hope if they're ever going to stand a chance. But that window really felt like it was Armut. Now he's 2 levels down on this Wukong against Xiao Hu's
tear you limb from limb.
Certainly is. That one pick in the side lane, I think, was also monumental in shifting over the control back to RNG. And I like RNG not grouping up. They're actually just playing through all 3 lanes right now. Very strong utilization of their composition, create all this pressure, split the Mad Lions up, don't actually give them an opportunity to find that 5 versus 5. And now you can see Cryin in the top lane, slowly starting to chip away, and they're going to work towards hitting these towers over and over and over again. Just slowly breaking their way into the base. Here comes the Tahm Kench ultimate from Lafang.
Cryin doesn't have flash. He hasn't got it on his unsealed spell, but the Cyclone coming in as well. Cryin will pop the stopwatch, and RNG are looking for inhibitors while this is happening. Cryin is down, but the inhibitor tower is also down in the mid lane and in the bottom lane. Xiao Hu's going to look for this bot lane inhib. The rest of RNG have disengaged. Ming's going to have to try and get himself away, but he doesn't even have the flash. Mad pick up 2 kills, and RNG have not taken an inhibitor. TP behind them. Humanoid has the shockwave. Xiao Hu and Wei, the targets. Gala pops his stopwatch, but he's in the midst of 4 members of the Mad Lions, and that's another shutdown. Humanoid pops a stopwatch of his own, tries to keep himself alive as Xiao Hu will take him out, building up that mega bar as well, and Mad Lions will disengage. Xiao Hu can try and turn it back, but Mad Lions have held on.
Ends up being a 1 for 3, and Mad Lions do not lose their inhibitors. So for now, they hold the line. Humanoid's TP was a little overeager. He ends up getting punished for it. But okay, I like the proactiveness that we see from Mad there. The utilization of the Tahm Kench ultimate to set up a flank, collapse onto Cryin, who doesn't have the flash, and then try and get a couple more kills onto Kazi. His first kill of the game there. They see Gala out of position. There's this TP from Humanoid. He thinks that the rest of RNG is going to run down, and he ends up, oh no, I'm in a very awkward situation right here. That CC will not work on the Olaf. Does end up using the Zhonya's, but too little, too late. Xiao Hu gets himself another kill.
Lioya picked up the kill there onto Gala as well. I wonder if they were trying to give it over to Kazi. You can see 3,900 damage there from the Jinx, but Gala, he's got himself a Guardian Angel. You've got to kill him twice if you're going to win this game, and Mad Lions have only been able to kill him twice in the last 32 minutes of game.
I will say though, Kazi has the Infinity Edge completed, working towards his 4th item, has also closed the level gap a little bit, but Xiao Hu still 2 levels up, Wei 2 levels up. Mid, surprisingly, Humanoid has had a very, well, I say surprisingly, he's obviously had a very strong game, but I'm surprised that he's managed to keep up with levels so much, sitting at 315 CS as right now. The TP behind, the back door from the Twisted Fate.
Oh, RNG is going to do it again, going in for the inhibitors. Cryin will be there. There's no minions, so he cannot take the Nexus Towers. Wade's going in. He's got a higher level smite, but Lioya secures it. Cryin will look for those inhibitors. The Abyssal Voyage is taking Kazi back into the base. They're trying to chase out Kazi as Armut goes in with the Cyclone Gala into the GA. He's going to come back, and Wei is next on the menu, but Gala, they just want this AD carry. They kill off the Aphelios. The inhibitors fall in bot and mid. Xiao Hu's going to be able to jump his way away towards the top side as he tries to take down this inhibitor tower as well. The Ocean Drake was secured by Mad Lions. It's 3 apiece right now for both these teams, but Super Minions are pushing into the base of Mad.
Even though Mad are at an 8k deficit, they're doing their best to still win out in this game. They've actually been able to come out ahead on the kills, but their base is in tatters. This is what RNG does. You try to go for one thing, they're going to take something else. They take apart the base. Mad, though, still have a chance to turn this game around. They've been able to secure 3 Drakes. We're coming and are going to try and get some objectives back. And while no kills went on to Kazi, Humanoid was able to pick up a couple. Have a look at Wei in the mid lane, though. He has his eyes on a potential pick. And the question mark pings are coming down.
Armut's pushing forward. Wei and Ming are here. Cryin has a gold card locked in. Armut's going to try and flash away. The Undertow's going to chase him down, and with the Destiny, Armut has been caught. Tries to survive with the Sterak's Gauge, but he is stunned up, locked up and down. Cryin will secure his 2nd kill of the game, and now at a numbers advantage, RNG continue the offensive.
Yeah, they have to, I feel. Playing for top lane tower when they have the numbers, Gala is going to grab the red buff and then make his way back. Xiao Hu has the TP as well, so if they want to, they can just commit a TP top and then start sieging onto this. Alternatively, the Baron spawns in 10 seconds. This could just be a free objective for them that Mad won't have the numbers to answer for, and with 2 inhibitors down, RNG can just let the minions do the work. Yes, they might be struggling in teamfights now, but they've laid the groundwork that they needed to be able to end this game regardless. And with this Baron, it feels like that it's just the final nail in the coffin. Mad, they put up a decent fight, but to me it feels difficult that they're going to be able to stop this final onslaught.
We've all seen Jinx Rockets steal Barons in the past. Not this time, as RNG able to secure it very safely. I will say Kazi's at 4 items on this AD carry. The Jinx, Lord Dominic's is complete. GA still on cooldown for Gala. Humanoid trying to sneak in here to the bottom lane, but Xiaohu will check the bushes. We'll make sure there is no one lying in wait, and Humanoid greets him with a command attack. Xiaohu now with the Baron buff can push in as the rest of RNG are working their way towards mid. Brian also has TP. If he can get down towards this bottom side, he is level 18. Destiny well and truly online. Gala and Ming will work up towards top to get that wave pushing in, and RNG will try and sink all 3 minion waves. Still 2.5 minutes on both the mid and the top inhibitor. Alyoya stepping forward, flash. Soul Shackle Crying's gonna flash out of that route though, and Alyoya perhaps is gonna get turned on. Undertow available, Alyoya dodges to the side of it. Now, Mad Lions defending on 3 different fronts. Kazi, Kaiser, and Alyoya with armor off towards the side, getting onto Gala. Crying and diving onto Xiaohu. The Humanoid there as well, he flashes away, but he is gone. Abyssal Voyage was cancelled, Humanoid down. And now Mad Lions have to win a 4v5. Kazi flashes away from the hook, but the damage is coming in from RNG, and Mad have too many places to look, too many places to defend, and RNG should close this one out. Mad Lions, a last ditch chance, some sort of opportunity to find a fight. Armor goes in with the Cyclone, but Xiaohu lands the Gnar, and the Cyclone is but a damp squib. Kazi trying to do what he can. Ming on the front line. Here comes Xiaohu once again. Kazi down, Kaiser down, and RNG undefeated.
Just a very clean game overall from RNG. Yes, there were a couple of fights where they stumbled. There were a couple of small opportunities where Mad could have swung the game in their favor, but RNG just did not let go of the pressure. They found advantages bot, they moved their bot lane to mids, they kept looking for picks, they kept pushing in, they took tower after tower after tower, and you saw in that final siege, they did just let the minions do the work. The moment the Mad Lions tried to make a play, they cross-mapped it. The Twisted Fate ultimate onto the Orianna to get that initial pick, just really great patience, great utilization of the tools, and overall, just a fantastic performance from RNG.
What a performance, as you say, from RNG. Incredible stuff from Wei as well, who is your Oppo player of the game for this game. He just popped off. Like his Olaf, it's very strong, but just generally his jungling has been so on point here at MSI.
Yeah, it feels like that in order to get this game going, he needed to make something happen, and this pick onto Humanoid in the mid lane is where everything started, because it wasn't just that kill onto Humanoid. The bot lane lost all of their summoner spells too, and then they ended up losing a trade in the 2 versus 2, and like, this is the momentum that they needed to kind of unlock the game and get things going, and that's what Wade does. It's kind of that accelerator to really get the RNG train going, and from start to finish, they just did not let go of the pedal. So impressive stuff from RNG, definitely looking like the clear favorites here in this tournament.
I very much agree with you, but Cloud9 versus PSG Talon is up next, and you can check out their team anthem.
top fudge. So now there's going to be some disparity in the picks here. You know, do they want to match picks? And they do. They want to get the Morgana. This is kind of one of those matchups where people are starting to look at this like a bit of a triangle between Rumble, Morgana, and Udyr. A lot of people are feeling Udyr has an advantage into the Rumble, that the Rumble has the advantage into the Morgana, and that the Morgana has the advantage into the Udyr. These are all slight and, of course, depend on your composition as well, but to oversimplify, it's very difficult for Udyr to actually, you know, just run straight out of Morgana and bear slap her when she has the Black Shield, when she can bind you on the way, right? Like, it gets tough. You have the Black Shield also to kind of empower and support the Kai'Sa, who wants to be diving into the backline, is very vulnerable to CC when she does so. Black Shield her up, she ults into that backline, can look to assassinate some of these champions over on the Cloud9 side, and there's going to be a lot of focus towards the AD carries, because Cloud9 did not draft one in their first phase, and there was already 3 AD carry bans before we even got into the second round of bans. Kalista is going to be added to the table, so Kalista, Tristana, Senna, Varus, Kai'Sa, all taken away. We did just see Ashe, so that is a possibility. Jinx is still up. There is, you know, the off possibility of things like Cog Lulu that is still available as well. So there are options here for Sven, but it's going to be something that he hasn't been playing as much so far this tournament.
Right, we get to see Nautilus, Blitzcrank, Alistar, Kalista all banned away. So 3 big meatball supports and an AD carry that utilizes them all wonderfully as big old bowling balls. And now, ooh, are we gonna get that locked in? No, maybe not, maybe not. Hold on, let's see. PSG Talon still has a little bit of time to think about this. All right,
I think it's
Leona.
Yeah, yeah, okay. So this makes a lot of sense. As soon as I saw that Blitzcrank ban come through, that's why I was kind of jumping in, because they're denying so many of the heavy engage supports, right? Lulu is something that is very susceptible to the Thresh, to the Nautilus, to the Blitzcrank. You know, the Alistar got taken off the table. Yes, Leona still has the ability to dive in, and that is still going to be there. But you have drafted a pretty beefy front line. You have high consistent DPS. Cog Lulu is something that we saw earlier in the day from RNG. Only once before that, if I'm recalling correctly, did we actually see it in the tournament. And it's going to be a Kali. So very aggressive picks here over on the PSG side. I feel they must snowball this game to really be competitive. Yes, there is, of course, always a miracle chance of that perfect pick, that perfect flank. But when you are looking at solo laners here of a Kali, of Lee Sin, when you're looking at the range of a Kai'Sa, of a Leona compared to that of the Kog'Maw, with 2 big beefy frontliners, the Set, the Udyr, consistent magic damage, good range and zoning as well from the Victor. Cloud9, I feel like, has the late game in spades. So it's going to be up to PSG to really push the pace of the game, to be either escalating their lead through objective control or through taking early towers, getting early kills, and really extending that advantage, because they want to be playing the true position of power. If you fall behind this Cloud9 composition and you are having to walk towards them in a 5v5,
oh, there's no way.
There really is just no way.
Yeah, when you look at it, they've even got the AD carry who wants to dive in with Lee Sin and Akali and Leona and make sure that they kill this Kog'Maw. And if PSG Talon can splatter the ground with Kog'Maw's Void Ooze and just kill him over and over and over and over and over and over again, then that's how this composition makes this work. Destroy that Kog'Maw. Remove that critical piece of the puzzle that this team needs to work. Because if you don't, man, Bio-Arcane Barrage in a late-game situation with a Lulu to protect you and Victor's Gravity Well to make sure that they can't engage cleanly, it's just a nightmare scenario for a comp like that, if they aren't ahead.
It absolutely is, and it's really difficult for champions like Lee Sin and like Akali to be able to close the gap, to get in there and deal with Gravity Field while also trying to deal with Polymorph, while also trying to get on top of this Kog'Maw. You have the added difficulties of Bear Stuns, of Set Peel. The ultimate for Peel can come through from Set as well. So I do think that Cloud9 has drafted some really, really strong tools. I think Set can scrap pretty effectively with the Lee Sin, though the Lee Sin will have the pushing advantage, especially in those earlier levels. You're expecting the EMAC from him. You're expecting him to get dominance from that lane as a result. And then you're going to have Blabber really playing around his lanes, being careful that if his top laner is shoved in, you cannot go towards those topside objectives. You've got to be careful about the assistance coming in for River from his solo lanes, especially the topside where you're expecting them to be the ones pushing. And depending on how that bottom lane goes, you know, I do think Cog Lulu can actually win the 2v2 straight up against Leona. That is really just dependent upon execution, because if a Leona can find engages, then you can really start to win in that 2v2. But if the Leona is getting whittled away on, if you can't find those Zenith Blades, you can get outranged as the Kaisa, and every time the Cog W is up, shield up the Cog, he walks forward, gets a few autos down, and it can get to this difficult situation where you're getting outranged and punished even in the early game by someone that outscales you. So that is always scary, and we're gonna have to see these junglers playing appropriately around their pushing lanes, making sure that they're not repeating the mistakes of the past, especially on the Cloud9 side, who has had a tremendous amount of errors, mistakes around these Scuttle Crabs, even sometimes the decisions to go for them.
Yeah, and in the bottom lane, I like the fact that you bring up, hey, it's a skill matchup in the 2v2. It could go either way, because remember that Doggo is a substitute player for the side of PSG Talon. He was originally from the second place team in the region Beyond Gaming. He had to be the sub here because their original AD carry was not able to attend. So that just means we'll have to see if these two want to go for that skill matchup in the 2v2, if they feel like they have enough practice and they got enough reps to be able to outplay in this situation, or if they'd rather opt for playing a less aggro game, being able to just farm it out, and then see if they can work together in those team fights to find those dives.
Exactly, and the other thing you always have to be worried about, when you are playing double range on this bot lane, when you're playing Lulu Cog, even if you're winning the 2v2, you must be sure that A, you know where Morgana is, and B, there's no wards behind you, because you are going to get attacked. That is generally one of the weaknesses. To win the lane as Cog and Lulu, you've got to be pushing, poking, harassing. Cloud9 bottom lane, I would say, has been the most consistent part of their entire squad throughout this tournament. I think they have played very well through both the group stage as well as the early games in this Rumble stage. So they've got to be aware of the potential of ganks from River, and this is a nice ward to spot any potential moves out from Fudge, who had the push at level 1. Very hard to contest at level 1 for the Lee Sin. So you start the E on the set, you get the push, he bounces the wave, he takes that time to ward up the Morgana, so he can back off without any punish as well, which is so critical. And that's why in top lane, minion management is so important. You have to have it timed out. When do I think the jungler is going to be here? And make sure that the wave is moving towards you at that time. Right? If the wave is frozen outside the turret and Morgana's up on the top side, well, all of a sudden you're losing so much. But because he got the bounce, yes, Lee Sin can push in and reset here for free, given that the protection of the Morgana is there, but Set is always going to collect this and doesn't have to put himself at risk whatsoever.
Yep, easy farming up there for him, and Cloud9 has now made it past the most difficult point in the game. Level 3 Scuttle Crab has come and gone.
Let's go!
No one is dead just yet. There is no first blood over a damn Scuttle Crab. We got to see junglers pathing towards opposite ends of the map. So it was PSG Talon with the topside crab. Cloud9 getting the one there in bot as Maple just shoves in Perks here at mid. Yes, Perks has the higher health right now, but no mana as Hanabi gets found here in the topside river. Blabber going after him. Flash already coming through. Blabber decides to go after him, and ladies and gentlemen, Blabber with the first blood.
Nicely done. The big play there from Blabber, killing Lee Sin as he moved down towards mid lane. I think that was a roam on an attempt to actually punish Perks, who's out of mana. And that is even bigger because now it means Maple has got to play it careful here. Perks is not going to get attacked, is going to be able to reset this wave very likely and get back to base here. Has to be careful about any potential trading, especially around the Shroud, but Maple doesn't have eyes on you here. You always kind of have that in the back of your mind that he could be coming over here. And you've also got to remember that PSG, I really do feel, are on a clock. Well, of course, not even 5 minutes into the game. That is not relevant just yet. But every minute that passes in parity is in the favor of Cloud9.
And back there in the mid lane, yes, Perks not having the mana. Yes, he might have a little bit of a health advantage that's sort of evaporated since then, since we started talking about it, just because the nature of a mana champ versus an energy champion, right? Once Perks runs out of that mana, he will have to go back to base, does have to refuel there. You can see him going ahead. 3 different starter items just to make sure he's got as much presence in this lane as possible. He'll teleport back in now. We'll see if he decides to interrupt the back of his opponent. No, Maple should just be able to back nice and easy here as Hanabi shoves in the top lane. Fudge will be left to farm that one out. This farm is going to come out roughly even after he farms up these couple of minions. Should be no reason why he misses much here. But what we're looking at is where's the action going to happen next. You can see both mid laners have now used their teleports. Both of them now trading aggressively back into the PvP. Maple getting the better of that one, finding another 5-point strike at the very back end of the trade onto Perks, who's now just barely over half HP. And you can see, thank you very much to the wonderful people behind the scenes showing us the XP per level. We're starting to hit level 6 on some pretty big champions. Maple and Fudge already have it. Blabber, Perks, Hanabi, all very close. River just slightly behind there, about halfway through level 5.
Bot lane going very well, though, for Cloud9. There are a couple extra minions for Doggo to collect. but about a wave ahead, probably all things considered. Perkz, though, they're looking to attack. He has no TP, so this is the most vulnerable. It's often not when you get pushed out of lane the first time, it's the second time that you are most at risk. I think they know a dive is coming here, though. Maple is on his way. There is no TP. Can they kill him first?
All right, they're already after Hanabi. A little bit more damage coming through. Nice phase breaker. Flash for the haymaker, and there's your play. Maple's rotated up, but now he finds himself in a 1v2. Fudge and Blabber underneath the turret. Fudge just taking the extra auto attack to guarantee that he gets the plate. Maple steps forward, but he knows there's no way to find a kill here, not in this situation. Well played from C9, but PSG Talent sees the opportunity to take the Drake on the other side.
They do lose the Dragon, but you really favor the gold at this point in the game, especially because you outscale, especially because you are a 5v5 composition. You are fine giving over an early Dragon or two and showing up to those 5v5s later on, maybe Dragon 2, maybe Dragon 3, down the line here. They are already over 1,000 gold ahead here with this composition that scales incredibly well. It's the move up to the top side, very well timed. Maple had a good read, but he spent his TP back to mid lane, so no one could respond. The Morgana is down on the Dragon. I'm not sure if Cloud9 had a read on that, but Fudge with the nice haymaker flash, redirecting, making sure that damage does land. Blabber is there, no way out for Hanabi. He saves the TP because the wave was bouncing, but he's going to be falling pretty far behind off that because not only did Fudge get the kill, Fudge also got the plate. So you can see already a 600 gold lead between these two top laners, which is pretty significant. You know, generally the level 1 is going to go to set, but you would hope as the Lee Sin that you are winning in those subsequent levels. When you get a few points in your E, you're pushing out, you're really kind of being able to use that priority to move around. Because if you fall behind, if you're stuck at your tower, it's really tough. Then you're depending upon those kind of highlight Lee Sin plays. And that's always your fallback. Like, it's always possible that you find the angle, you get the Q, ward hop, kick flash, knock in Sven and change a game. But the floor for Lee Sin is so much lower than it is for Set. You know, Set can enter a team fight, ult someone, just kind of run around.
Floor for Lee Sin's the basement.
Yeah, you're going to be pretty valuable. Whereas that Lee Sin, you got to find a big play if you're behind, and he's moving towards tabbies. He's moving towards a more defensive build, so your damage is not going to be threatening whatsoever.
And this is something that you could expect if you look at PSG Talent and how they played their games back in the regular season, right? This is a team that would often leave top lane as an island, allow River to build leads elsewhere on the map for the team. And so Blabber playing around this top side, being able to intercept Hanabi as he goes for a rotation play in the mid lane, being able to facilitate a dive together with his own top laner, they're targeting the part of PSG Talent that should be vulnerable based on the information they have about how this team plays, how they played back in their own home region. And if you're a Cloud9 fan, you like to see that because it shows that the team's doing their homework. It shows that Blabber is able to keep a cool head despite having those bad games that you already talked a little bit about earlier. And C9 has themselves a solid early game here so far, but now it's PSG Talon going in. Kaiwing here with a little bit of lockdown, a lot of damage coming through, and River finds the kill into Perkz, but now it's a return 1-for-1 as the PSG Talon support falls. Fudge is still here in a little bit of danger, but considering the fact that that's set, they won't try to pursue this any further. Perkz does fall, but the answered kill makes it an even trade.
Yeah, and I'd even say it's actually positive for PSG because that's mid laner for support, right? That's just your level 4 Leona dying here. It also means they have priority over on this Herald. We'll see if C9 wants to get over there and try to re-engage, but I don't think it's going to be the move here with Kog'Maw heading back towards bot. Blabber is in the area, Fudge is moving over, and there's got to be a little bit careful, but it looks like PSG should be able to finish it off, and I think C9, you just need to back it up at this point.
Yeah, Blabber doesn't have a whole lot to accomplish here. You already pointed it out. Sven was left in the bottom lane. Doggo was being rotated up towards mid, towards that Rift Herald, and this is something that you've talked about a lot domestically during our LCS broadcasts, Isaac. I know that you have been frustrated multiple times with teams not properly recognizing that a Rift Herald isn't worth and just letting the AD carry farm instead. This time around, C9's going, hey, you know what? There's no point in bringing Sven up here. It's not going to matter that much. Leave him bottom to farm.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, he is just getting that farm, and this is one of those situations where in the back of your mind, or even out loud, someone on your team has got to be repeating win conditions, win conditions, win conditions, the whole game. Think about what it is you want to accomplish in the game. I know that sounds cheesy, but when you are reminding yourselves, we got Cog Lulu, chill out. We got Victor, chill out. You have the late game. It becomes much more clear from that point of view that guess what? You do not need that Herald. It is not a game-deciding play, right? Sure, it's a nice to have. You'd like to have that gold and not give it over to PSG, but it's not important in the big picture here. So that's what Cloud9 needed to keep in mind, and I think in this case, they did a good job of it.
Okay, back in top side, Fudge will continue just trying to trade nice and aggressive here with Hanabi. When you have a champion who's a juggernaut and a champion who's a playmaker, the juggernaut will always win out in the just stand and slap the guy type of fights, so Fudge taking full advantage of that one. Back here in mid, Perks versus Maple. The CS just dead even between these two. Maple doing a good job of making sure that he's always maintaining presence against the powerful wave control of a Victor. Now going in for the 1v1, forcing the flash out and getting the kill anyway. Maple just taking down Perks. Easy peasy. Blabber makes it even. Rivers here to grab a bit of extra damage on the back end of the fight, but that was some fancy movement there from Maple.
Really nicely played there by Maple, getting the kill over onto Perks. But thankfully for Cloud9, Blabber is there for the return kill here. We are going to go into a pause, and hopefully this one will be quick, but we'll see exactly what the reasoning is, and we'll let you know as soon as we do hear anything. Either way, a pretty even game here in the early stages, but given the compositions, given the gold lead over on the Cloud9 side, you really have to favor the way they are looking right now, and PSG, I think, is going to be looking towards these next objectives to really be able to get a lead. We have to remember they have the Herald, so they could be looking to drop Herald, try to play towards the next Dragon. It looks like it's the ref working with Hanabi there, so maybe a bit of an issue for him.
Yeah, so one thing that I want to ask you, one question that I want to pose since we have a little bit of time to dive into it a bit more. You talked about you want to see PSG get an early lead. They need to be able to play from ahead with this divey assassin-style comp with a Lee Sin, with an Akali, with a Kai'Sa, with a Leona. What does that lead look like now at this point? Because they do have the Rift Herald locked and loaded. You already said that. They've got the first Drake for themselves. They earned that off of the play that their opponents made in the top side when River was able to grab the Drake. What does this lead need to look like by, say, 20 minutes into the game for you to feel confident about PSG's chances to win this game against the powerful scaling of C9?
So, I mean, it's kind of a difficult question because I think a lot of it depends upon, how the fights are set up. So do you look just purely at gold? And if it's just gold and it's walking straight at each other in a 5v5 and you're talking 25 minutes, you need to be probably 3 to 5K ahead at least, I would think. But if you can actually dominate the vision game, if you can be the one set up earlier and really get that perfect engage where Akali is coming from one angle, Lee Sin is behind them potentially, you're fighting in division, you're trying to walk in blind, then I think the requirement for that gold lead becomes a lot lower because PSG has the ability to create advantages just through positioning, right? So I think the setup for these dragons and the setup for the fights is so important. Where Cloud9 really wants to play is where the map is completely lit up, where they see where these flanks are coming from. They have their frontliners mark them. You see the Lee Sin, all right, set, you go walk at him. All right, there's the Akali, okay, Blabber, Udyr, you go walk at him, right? Because if those guys cannot get into the back line and actually, kick in the Victor or assassinate the Victor or the Cog right off the bat, then I think it's pretty much a one fight there for Cloud9. So much of it really is going to come down to the setup, and of course the gold does play into that. Because if Cloud9 are way ahead in gold, well, it's a lot easier to set up and get that vision around Dragon. If you're behind, well, PSG is probably going to have the first move towards that Dragon, going to be able to set up more easily, and going to be able to perhaps find that team fight.
Right, you have a lot of pick potential there with PSG talent if they're ahead, but you can see now the tweet on your screen. We've got, man, I remember the lock-in tournament just a few months ago. No one believed in Fudge, but man, is he playing so well at MSI. It's been a pretty interesting journey for Cloud9's top laner, who started off his time in the LCS with a little bit of trash talk and then a not-so-impressive performance in the lock-in tournament at the beginning of the year. But then he just stayed with it. He kept grinding. The team had faith in him. His teammates had faith in him. And he's grown quite impressively overall. But now let's take a look back at the play that was made here in the mid lane. Our outplay as Maple goes in, decides to go for the 1v1 against Perks, and he finds it in what looks like just an absolutely effortless play. Of course, he does die at the end there because Blabber's ready for the follow-up. But Maple being able to recognize these windows, being able to say, okay, you're dead, and then execute on it, that's the kind of play that I need to see from this composition to have faith that they would be able to take down a Cog Lulu Victor in the late game.
Absolutely, and you can see he played that very, very well, kind of effortlessly dancing around that gravity field, never really staying in it long enough to get stunned up, steps in, gets the empowered auto, backs back out, knows the range for the flash ulti, for the ulti one as well. Very, very clean stuff there. And when you're gonna play one of these assassin-style champions at at this level, you have got to have that confidence, right? Because if you're going to hesitate when these minute opportunities do show themselves, well, the opportunity is going to be gone. You're going to end up pushed in, stuck under your tower. You've got to have that killer instinct, and that's something that I think Maple has had throughout his entire career.
Okay, so update on the pause. Hanabi is reporting that his champion moved while he was frozen. League officials are investigating if this is true and if it impacted the game at all, so no update on how long this is going to take. Usually if League officials have to investigate something, the pause will be a little bit longer, so once we have any more information, we will let y'all know.
Hopefully not going to be too long. I'm not sure if I have a bit of goldfish brain here, but I don't think he just died or anything, right? Nothing really recently happened before we went into the pause with Hanabi, so hopefully it wouldn't need to be a chrono break or anything like that, but of course.
League officials have ruled that it did not impact the game, and we are good to go. We are ready to continue. We are back in action. Now, let's see how the game is going to look from this point as PSG Talon do secure their second Drake of this game.
Second Drake, again, not really an issue. Where it does become a problem is number 3. And that's where Cloud9 will have to be ready to fight. It's not about just showing up. It's about showing up a minute early, getting the vision. Everything we were talking about, prior during that pause is really going to shine through here, I think, at this next Infernal Dragon. You don't want to be giving a snowballing comp Infernal Soul. That is really, really scary.
No.
This comp that needs to hit a threshold to be able to assassinate you, to be able to, get into the backline and burst someone down, well, Infernal Soul is pretty damn good at helping you out. When you're playing these shielding, healing comps, it's really about kind of staying above that threshold where you can't instantly die, and then all of a sudden they don't have enough damage to actually break through all the Lulu shields and deal with this cog right off the bat, and then your fight starts looking pretty rough. So PSG are going to be setting up for this. They will be playing very heavily towards it. I expect Cloud9 will as well. And really, even from 2-3 minutes before that dragon spawns, you can expect these teams to start playing for river control, to start playing to deny wards. Even these entry wards in the jungle, Kaiwing moving up, knocking that down, he's trying to deny the ability for Cloud9 to even take a peek into the river and slow down their vision control, because Vulcan can't really do it by himself. He needs his top laner or his jungler there. When you are playing an enchanter, you can't face check like that. This Rift Herald does get dropped down. Should get the charge.
Yeah, the charge will find the plates, but after that, Shelly won't get too much more value. And I like the fact that you bring up the shielding and the kinds of difficulties that they have to work through. Never mind, we got to dive here in the bottom lane. The shields, the wild growth, none of it's enough. 2v1, the dive comes through, and PSG Talon find their third kill of the game. River coming around now, looking for maybe a chance to use that Predator, pick up another one on Sven, but he's aware, and he's keeping himself safe.
Yeah, but that's actually a really big deal here. That could eliminate the gold lead. This tower likely going to go down, and Vulcan was trying to hold that by himself. He just needed to show a little bit more patience, allow the tower to take some damage so that Sven can arrive. Maple looking for another kill here on Perks.
He goes again. All right, not quite going to find himself the setup for a second solo kill, but the point that I was going to make, we're getting to the point of the game where a lot of first items will be coming online.
Yeah.
And once Doggo gets his mythic done, I want to see Serpent's Fang's second item on him. I cannot think of a single reason why you wouldn't. When you're up against Set, when you're up against Udyr, Victor, Kog'Maw with a Lulu, there is so much shielding on the Cloud9 composition. I think Serpent's Fang's got to be the most valuable item in the whole damn game.
Yeah, I agree. Especially if you're trying to go that lethality route, right? Like, if you're already going towards a collector, it's just, I think, the better option in this case. Of course, it did get some changes on this patch. I can't remember exactly what they were, but I think the TLDR is like it's easier to use but does less burst or something like that. Excuse me for not remembering the exact patch notes.
Shielding. It halves shielding.
Okay.
Like if you are struck by a target or by a person who has Serpent's Fang, all shields on you are reduced by 50% of their value, and all shielding that would be applied to you for the next 3 seconds will also suffer the same
Fudge
penalty.
in trouble.
Okay. Let's see if Fudge is able to outplay this one. Goes for the ulti, flashes over the wall. Blabber's coming down to help him here. They will find themselves in the 2v2. But with the teleport arriving and Kaiwing also approaching on the flank, Fudge is grabbing the first kill here in the 2v4. He should surely die, but it's 1-for-1.
Yeah, honestly, good call Worth on that. You get 2 flashes, you get a teleport, and you go 1-for-1? That is huge for Fudge. Yes, they get the shutdown, but Leona flashed, Morgana flashed, Lee Sin TP'd, Doggo even used the heal, I believe, down there. So, a lot of summoners actually expended on the way. Assuming that heal must have been used somewhere else, but either way, really big there for Cloud9, and they're going to be able to get this Rift Herald. If you can get this right now, you can drop this mid, use it to set up for the Dragon. Fudge will be up. He will have his TP, so he can go up topside if he wants, or even just group up with the team to have those frontliners there to be able to help you set up vision. Sven has his first item complete. It is the Wit's End. There's a lot of magic damage over on this side from PSG. He's most worried, of course, about the Akali, about the Morgana, but there is even some magic damage coming through from the Kai'Sa. The Emax,
oh boy.
Oh no, this is bad. Dying 30 seconds for that Dragon.
Bye-bye, little bumblebee. Buzz, buzz, buzz all the way back to the spawn platform, buddy. Maple with a nice pick up there. 3-1-1 here on this Akali. You're talking about Wit's End helping protect you from some of the burst, but Kog'Maw alone versus Akali, there's not an item in the world going to save you from that one. Fudge in a 1v1 against Hanabi while the 3v3 happens back in the mid lane. Hanabi losing this duel rather decisively, but the rest of his team rotates over in time. His life will not be in danger. Shelly summoned up here in the mid lane once again. We'll see how much value that gets. I think the charge should be enough to take this turret down here since it is second Rift Herald.
They just need to,
not quite enough.
They just need to play it slow. You need Sven back here. So the Rift Herald bought them a little bit of time, but you've still got to be playing it pretty careful. Akali has no ulti though, so if they do start as soon as Kog'Maw arrives, there's no ultimate on the Akali, so I don't think PSG can even fight. And you took the Rift Herald, so there's no option on the top side. So PSG actually have to just give this up. It was a good kill from Maple over on Kog, but because of that one duel by Fudge that sends Hanabi back to base, because of the ulti timer there's not even a contest from PSG. So pretty big for Cloud9. But Cloud9 have lost their goal. You know, a couple plays that did not go their way. Some really nice stuff from Maple. The dive on the bottom side where Vulcan was trying to hold the tower, loses that and the tower itself. So the gold is now even, which is slightly concerning for Cloud9. But again, given game state, given the composition, as long as Cloud9 have the setup, you really do favor their composition. And Kog here is closing on his second item, you know, building towards what is likely going to be a Hurricane, I'm assuming. Could be Rapid Fire or a different route, and then he'll go towards his Mythic third, it does look like, and he's going to be pretty powerful when he does hit those 2-3 items.
That's always the name of the game for Kog'Maw, right? We talk about the scaling, we talk about the range and the power, but it does take usually those 3 items before he really feels like that absolute win condition that he's meant to be. Also, do want to point out, shout out to the guy in my stream a month ago that told me this. Because Kai'Sa is a ranged champion, the Serpent's Fang shielding reduction will only be 25 instead of 50. I completely forget about the ranged champion difference in items because I only play Skarner and he's not ranged. But Kai'Sa will only have 25% shielding reduction if she goes for that item. However, 25% reduction against this many shields still means a lot. Gore Drinker done for Lee Sin to provide him some extra sustain tank, drain tank ability there in the middle of those fights, so that when he jumps in, he might just not have to die after making that huge kick. Liandry's online for Morgana. We know how powerful this champion is when she stacks those dots on dots on dots. And a Proto Belt giving Akali even more playmaking. Maple's the guy to be afraid of if you're on C9.
Yeah, absolutely. He is very strong right now. It looks like Doggo will be going PD second, but he could still go back towards that Serpent Fang next. If he does want that as the third item, maybe wanting some attack speed here, get that E upgrade. The invisibility on the E is really, really big for team fighting, so maybe just wanting to prioritize that. PSG should take the gold lead with this tower going down here, has played the map well, has been able to continually keep threat up, and while there is, you know, a lot of strength in the side lane with Fudge, you know, Fudge has been continuously winning this 1v1, he has to often group up, help them contest for vision. Again, you know, when you are the Leona, it's more safe to walk in and try to sweep out some wards than it is as the Lulu, and that's always a concern. But PSG, they're on the Baron, and I don't know if Cloud9 even know about this whatsoever. Now they should know about it, and it won't go down fast enough. So C9 will be able to ward them off, and the question is, do C9 want to commit to a fight? I think they should just back off and be happy with the fact that you got PSG off of that Baron, but Blabber is playing this pretty far up.
Yeah, Blabber's playing aggressively. Blabber's about to die. Blabber trying to get himself away. Hanabi in the middle of 4. Cloud9 taking a ton of damage. Blabber's going to be shut down, but PSG Talon are absolutely tearing Cloud9 apart. 1, 2, 3, 4. Knock them all over, baby. Make it 5. Double kill back to the AD carry, and PSG Talon get the ace.
And they're going to get the Baron as well here. They are very low, but they should be able to juggle it and pull this off here. No one's going to be up in time to actually prevent this from Cloud9. And while the slight gold lead was going to be fine, while the game position was going to be fine, Cloud9 over force. You got them off the Baron. There was absolutely no need for Blabber to be staying in that position. What was he getting out of Baron, Bear slapping up a Leona and getting a bit of poke damage, which accomplishes absolutely nothing in the big picture here. He takes so much damage right off the bat. Look at how the team is spread. There's no damage coming through from Perkz and Vulcan to start it off, and then a beautiful ulti there from the Leona, catching multiple members here from Cloud9 in the new Axe Effect replay. They all pile in, they take down the Cloud9 backline, and that was just atrocious from Cloud9, but a beautiful play here from PSG, capitalizing on it. The game really was in Cloud9's hands, and you can see they know they should not be giving that one up. Now with the Baron over to the other side, I mean, Fudge fighting heroically in the end, trying to get some kills back, but now you're down that 3K mark that I was talking about earlier, and you're going to have the Baron power for this next Dragon. So now Cloud9 is forced with this tough choice of, do you contest for this Dragon anyway, and maybe just lose the game right here? Because Baron is a lot of extra value on top of what is now a 3K gold lead, or do you just give over Soul Point and a potential win condition to them in 5 more minutes? So, Cloud9 could have just sat back, waited for this Dragon, fought on even terms. Instead, they are now in a tough spot here. Hanabi trying to threaten the flank. I think Cloud9 are not even going to have the option to contest, to be honest here, and they're put in a really, really rough spot now. PSG have the game in their hands. They are looking to grab their second win here, move up in the table in this Rumble stage. And Cloud9, it feels like really starting to kind of fight for their tournament lives a bit.
I mean, absolutely. I don't think it's a bit at all. I think this is a serious game that this team really needs to be aware of exactly the gravity of the situation. We started this day off by talking about how these are the most important opponents for both of these teams. These are your most direct competitor for that 4th slot moving out of the Rumble stage. These are the guys that you need to be able to take down. And right now, PSG Talon is showing us that they have exactly what it takes, executing on this dive assassin-style comp against the powerful protection of a Cog Lulu. But now we need to see what they can get with the Baron. There's still that ever-present timer that you mentioned earlier. Kog'Maw only gets stronger as more minutes are added to the clock. And so every win that PSG gets, every Dragon, every Baron, every minion wave, we want to see them making the most out of it.
Yeah, and so far, so good. They're going to be able to grab this mid lane tier 2. They should be able to push back up and grab this bottom lane tier 2. Cloud9 are trying to defend it, but a lot of the scaling becomes less of a concern when you're looking at Infernal Soul here potentially for PSG, and that's really the biggest problem, is that not only do they lose the fight, not only do they lose the Baron, they lost access to the 3rd Dragon, they lost the flash off Kog'Maw, so the gold lead extends, and there's that ever-present win condition now of Infernal Soul. Cloud9 will have to get 3 straight Dragons to remove that from the equation here. Trying to chase down Hanabi, but we'll just use that kick in retreat, and that buys them the time to grab another tower on bot side. The Baron gold is going to extend this up to a 5K gold. Yeah, it's getting pretty problematic here for Cloud9.
So when I asked you earlier during the pause, and I said, what kind of a lead do we need to see 20, 25 minutes into this game for you to be confident about PSG's state in the game? You said that even if PSG aren't finding the best angles, you would want to see 3 to 5K.
Yeah.
Well, here we are at 5K, and we've been shown that Cloud9 will give them those angles, and as soon as they have them, they can make that big play. Having the Leona ulti hit everybody, having Maple just dive into the backline knowing he's got the damage. This is a scary spot to be if you're Cloud9, and PSG, they played the early game well, they played the mid game well, and now they're in a spot of power here 25 minutes in.
Absolutely, and Sven is also down about 2,000 gold plus 2 levels on Doggo, which is a significant amount of base stats that you're missing out on as well. So the gold lead is actually, the difference in power is actually equal more probably to like 3,000 gold between these two ADs. You can see a full 3rd item plus the QSS. Doggo's going to be incredibly difficult to deal with. Is going to have the Black Shields and Morgana behind them. And Cloud9, potentially their lives are going to be decided in this tournament at this next fight. There are many games to play, so of course there's always the possibility of a comeback, but this does feel like such an important game for them. And this Soul fight could very well decide, and Cloud9 will have their summoners unless those get blown prior to the fight, but...
Okay, Doggo taking some damage here, Riven the same. Leona ulti used defensively just to keep Cloud9 from finding anything else, potentially going after a kill here. Hanabi's on the flank, but wards are going to spot him out, make it so it should be impossible for him to find a move here. Perkz walking up towards the top side, but considering River is around, he's got to be very mindful of his own positioning. Sven moving up, has Blabber and Vulcan right next to him, and honestly, that's the way it needs to look for the rest of the game. Kog'Maw must have his VIP protection detail. If he does not, it is so very easy for a Fed Akali to just kill him instantly.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're ever split, or even if you're not, and you get kicked in, or really they get access to you, if they hit their full combo, the Lulu shields are not going to even come close to saving you, right? You need your front line to be absorbing and to preventing. You can see the look here of what they're trying to accomplish with this composition. Shield him up, speed him up, he procs lethal tempo, he runs at you with the W, gets those autos down. That can become pretty threatening here. You know, he is behind in gold, so it's less threatening than you would want. But Perkz gonna have to be really careful in this side lane. You cannot afford to get picked here. No. Because this next dragon very likely will decide the game. Cloud9 need to set up, need to group, need to get towards that dragon. And the difficult part is, even if you get it, and it's that sigh of relief, but it doesn't really get you that much. You know, the individual dragons...
It gets you one Infernal Drake.
Yeah, the individual dragons are pretty weak in this current state of the game. It's so much about the soul. So you've got to show up every single time, no matter what, or PSG gets this permanent buff that maybe just ends the game. And on PSG's side, if they don't like to fight, they say, who cares? I'll just take a tower here, I'll pressure inhibitor there, no big deal. So we'll see if Cloud9 can withstand the onslaught here, and if they can actually play a really clean game, because they're going to have to be playing, you know, very mistake-free game.
Well, Fudge is not in a great spot here. The extra CC coming down with a Haymaker going out. Stopwatch from Kai Wing buys him an extra moment, flashing away to guarantee you won't die now. Fudge trying to back up. There is 14 seconds until the Infernal Drake, and Cloud9's top laner has 15% HP.
He can
TP. He's got a TP. He can come back into the fight with a teleport, but that means that they won't have their biggest meatball to try to face check and move forward here on the positioning. It's PSG Talon with priority over the
Maple's
pit.
behind them.
Maple's ready to go. He is not seen by that ward because he is sweeping it. The dragon is now under pressure. Blabber must go for a steal here, otherwise they give over the Infernal Soul. Hanabi running away. Remember that River's the man to watch. That's the Morgana. There we go. Blabber with a hero steal. But what's the team fight going to look like? Blabber tanking up here in the front yet again. Hanabi going into the back line. They're going to kill Sven. They're going to kill Perkz. They're going to kill Vulcan. They're going to kill everybody. PSG Talon just ripping Cloud9 off the map. And look at the team fighting. This team's got Fudge will do what he can at 1v3, but River takes him down. Minion wave in the bottom lane. PSG Talon on the victory march.
Nicely played there. Hanabi gets in the back line, kicks in Sven. He flashes over the wall, but Doggo had the ulti to follow the flash. He gets into the back line, executes Sven, and PSG wipe Cloud9 off the map.
PSG Talon, it was an important game for them to win. They stepped up, they won it, they took down the scaling composition. They were willing to draft based on skill. Or is it over yet? Am I getting a little bit too excited? Sven's able to find one. Nope. There's another kill. Maple just doing what Maple does, baby. 5-point strike. Look at the damage this man's able to provide. PSG Talon padding the stats a little bit more. Triple kill for the mid laner, and they take their win over Cloud9.
Almost for a second there, Cloud9 get the respawn, but PSG just kill him again. Triple kill for Maple to finish it off, and now PSG, they have beaten the two most important opponents for them. They are 2-1. They took down Pendant GG. They took down Cloud9. So even if they struggle against some of these other teams, which they may be able to take them down, they have been looking better and better throughout this tournament. More than a match here for Cloud9, finding the angles in the 5v5, capitalizing on the mistake from Blabber over by the Baron. They had that killer instinct that you must have with this type of composition, and they really made the most out of every opening that was given to them. They're so deserving of the credit for that. Maple having a hell of a game on the Akali, getting the individual outplays on Perkz, showing up huge in the 5v5. Doggo was absolutely massive for this team as well. You know, saving his ultimate to be able to actually jump in on Sven after the flash, Onity getting the kick to apply the plasma and force the flash from Sven. These things were absolutely huge. And the fact that they actually caught Fudge prior to the Dragon, so Cloud9 didn't have the proper setup and had to rush in there to actually stop the Dragon with Maple on a flank. Right? Cloud9 never got to have that setup that they really were looking for. So well-played game by PSG here, and another heartbreaker for Cloud9. A lot of people, again, you're going to be looking towards Flabber in the river when you force him off the bear and you refuse to back up. That, to me, felt like it turned the game.
Well, PSG Talon just played some better League of Legends today, and we'll still be seeing them later on in the day for their second game, but now it's time to toss to a break, after which we'll take a closer look at PSG's win and hear from Hanabi.
You don't have a chance against me. I can calculate 19 trillion moves in advance. Not fair. Not fair.
Red Bull gives you wings.
The magical power of the realm is a mystery. Like a guardian, it is with you always. Defending you, charging you, watching over you like... Actually, it's not magic. It's this Cisco network. The power behind every gank, every combo, every mind-blowing moment at League of Legends Esports, MSI 2021.
Welcome back to MSI 2021. PSG take down Cloud9. And Hanami, thank you so much for joining me. You have to tell me about that last team fight because they got the Drake, but you came clutch with the insane Lee Sin kick. So talk me through the communication with the rest of the team to make this play happen.
先恭喜你们是拿下了 C9 这场比赛嘛。先来聊一下最后那部龙团，其实他们拿到了龙，但是你盲僧的一个非常漂亮的踢，可以说是踢最关键的踢，把这个胜利拿下来了。那波的一个沟通以及说是怎么样去决策的？
那边的决策就是我跟阿卡丽去绕侧，然后抓他们 AD 跟中路的失误，然后发现他们 AD 被我 Q 到了，所以就把他踢回去了。
Q 到 AD 是吗
？Q 到 AD 了。
So me and Maple wanted to flank the enemy teams, especially their AD carry, and I found that I successfully used my Q on their AD carry, then just killed it back.
That was beautifully done. And it is the play that won you the game. I want to roll it back here and talk about the composition you got against Cloud9. Can you talk me through the drafting choices you made here and why you decided to run this comp against Cloud9?
来聊一下阵容的一个问题好了，就是你们今天的对上 C9这样的一个阵容的一个安排、一个布置是怎么样子的？
我觉得就他们不选李星，我就选，就大家都给我不了李星，所以就选了，然后他们很吓到了。
Because they don't play Lee Sin, then we will just go for it. And I think that everybody just don't believe me that I can't play Lee Sin, so we just went for it.
You proved them wrong, indeed. Last question for you. You're gonna play Mad Lions in the last game today, Game 6. What do you think of the team and your chances of beating them?
最后一场是要跟 Mad Lions 对战嘛，然后你觉得打败他们的话需要注意什么样？以及要做到什么？
就在先前的对上，我们已经输 Mad Lions 2场了嘛，但是我们有看出他们强的地方还有他们的弱点，我们会往他们弱点去打他们，让他们打个措手不及。
So before this matchup, the sixth game of today, we actually lost to them twice. So we already knew their strength and their weakness in the actual games. Then we will try to focus more on the weakness, try to just to fight with them off guard.
Focus on these weaknesses. I lied, actually. I have a last question because talking to PSG earlier in the tournament, you guys told me that you felt like this time you had actual chances to make it through and to the knockout stage. How do you feel so far with the teams you faced and the rest of the tournament?
因为之前在采访当中嘛，其实你也提到说，这次好像真的很有机会打到淘汰赛，就是6进4，就4强里面去。然后现在打了这场比赛了，你觉得说，可能性怎么样？以及说对上剩下的几场比赛，其实对我来讲，你觉得可能性有多少？怎么看？
我觉得接下来比赛就是我要把自己的失误就降低更多，然后因为我觉得我队友状态都非常好，所以我只要打得好，我觉得接下来比赛都蛮好赢的。
So I think I really need to reduce my individual mistakes in the games. Also, my teammates are in a really good form, so I want to well perform. Also, just to synergize with my teammates really well, and then try to grab more wins in the upcoming matchup.
Very humble. Again, very great win from you guys today. Hanabi, thank you so much for the interview. Iris, thanks for the translation. And back to you, Shock, for post game.
Thank you very much. Welcome back, everyone, to the State Farm Analyst Desk. I love that interview out of Hanabi because, you know, it's also, if you look at the region, if you talk to the regional experts, they do say that Hanabi can be something you can choose to target, Emily. And I love that he just said, yeah, people don't think I can play it, and I just went for it. And I really respect that.
Well, and also he's pretty unflappable, right? Because he doesn't necessarily get a lot of jungle help all the time. So it's just kind of like, I'm used to it. And, you know, what matters with this Lee Sin is can you get to a point where you make a huge difference in teamfights? Now, I will say I'm not the biggest fan of PSG's draft here. When it compares to C9's, I thought C9 had the superior teamfight and better late game scaling. It actually reminds me of a draft that I saw from C9 in a way, with Gragas Zoe into a superior teamfighting competition from Team Liquid in the NA finals. And what happens in a lot of these fights, as we'll see, is that they get separated into smaller skirmishes. And that is where Maple is going to go off, and that's where the Lee Sin kicks came in absolutely crucial for PSG.
they did. Before that, though, as we're going to see here, everything's fine and dandy for Cloud9 Ender. We talked about proactivity, and they give it to us.
Yeah, I mean, the early game was going to be great from Blabber. This time, he finally wins a fight in the top river. Everything you could ask for him, also then set up in the top lane very nicely. And ultimately, this is where you're thinking, this is a free win for C9, right? They outscale in the team fights. Their team fight composition is easy to execute, just like we wanted to see from them, and they have an early advantage. And yet, Maple was able to find consistent kills on the Akali. They were able to start stacking up Drakes on the other side, and this made it all of a sudden a position where C9 had to start walking the fights earlier because Drake Point was on the table.
And you requested this next replay to be played on super slow speed because when it was playing out, you said, well, C9 have the superior team fighting comp. There are actually not a lot of scenarios in which they lose a straight up 5v5. So what happens here?
I mean, ultimately, it's just a beautiful combination of CC, and at the very end, it's going to be the kick. But just look at this, how PSG are able to find 4 members of C9 on top of each other. The Solar Flare locks up 4 players, and then it's a 3-man kick to setting up for the rest of those heavy dive threats to come in. And this was probably the only time you could see this composition from PSG actually pull off a wombo combo, because they don't have a wombo combo, but somehow it showed up there.
And Emily, this is the kind of thing that analysts hate because they're like, this is the worst draft in history. Why does it work? Well, sometimes comfort wins you games.
I did not like this draft, like I said. But I think to my point and to piggyback on something that Ender said, like, they don't really have a wombo combo, right? This is the closest you're gonna get. And what happens is once you start separating out C9 members, so they're not on top of each other, so they can't set up that front line for the Cog to just be, you know, constantly autoing with Lulu buff, that is suddenly a problem, right? Because PSG are able to isolate the targets they want, and they end up kind of destroying C9 in this fight.
Yeah, and to their credit, they followed it up, and as we will take a look at the drive to victory presented by Mercedes-Benz, the final fight for PSG.
And hugely, like, there's so many dive threats from PSG here, the Akali, the Lee Sin, all this stuff, that really all they need to do is remove Kog'Maw or remove the Victor. And the kick from Lee Sin obviously catches Zen. He has to flash over the wall, but that CC allows the Kai'Sa to come flying into the backline right next to that Akali. And I think any one player on their own from PSG diving to the backlines can't kill a Kog'Maw with the Lulu right next to him. But once it's a team effort, once it's a coordinated effort, that's ridiculous.
So cute. The slow-mo. The slow-mo. Honestly, I'm a bit left at a loss for words, Emily, because all the things we talked about before into like the tools that Cloud9 has, and I don't even have the words for it watching these games because they keep losing these games now 4 in a row in all very different manners, and you feel that they are so close yet so far, and that must just be a very frustrating position for Cloud9 to be in.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the game more than any other game I thought today or over the past few days, right, that they absolutely had to win. Because if you're thinking about the strongest teams at this tournament, it's going to kind of be between, you know, PSG and C9 to get that 4th spot out of this Rumble stage. And this is, you know, kind of a similar situation where they put themselves significantly behind Dead FM just by the fact that they did not have the head-to-head matchup. So it's really scary for C9, you know?
Yeah, now we've gone into from 0-2 to very scary territory. So we'll see how that evolves. PSG Talon, we will see them again in Game 6 versus the Mad Lions. But before that, Damwon Kia look to go 2-0 on the day, but they're up against Pentanet, so that's not going to happen.
Welcome back, League of Legends fans, to MSI 2021 here in the Rumble stage. 2 games left to play here today, the first of which hits Pentanet.gg versus Damwon Kia. Now, Damwon currently tied for second in the 6 teams remaining in the competition here. Pentanet, one of the only 2 teams still without a win.
Well, looking to pick up a big upset win here. But I've loved the attitude of the Pentanet guys. You know, it feels like they're not taking themselves too serious. They're joking around. You know, I think the coach was giving an interview earlier today. He's like, yeah, we got RNG and Damwon, so it should be 2 easy wins here today. You know, like we see them in the tees for the MSI Rumble stage. Pabu just dropping the, we're just here to have fun, right? You know, these guys have come in with a lot of smiles on their faces, with some cool drafts, with some good play, and they're going to be looking to kind of throw out, I would think, some pretty exciting picks and try to surprise Damwon. I think that's their best chance at the win.
I mean, we saw them try that against RNG, right? We saw them try to just change the game up. You're not going to beat them in a head-to-head, just straight-up standard vanilla game of League of Legends, so we want to see creativity from Pentanet. They'll start off with a Lee Sin first pick here in the draft, as Lucian, Renekton, Sylas, Morgana, Varus, and Thresh are all banned away.
Yep, and while I did mention last game, Lee Sin is normally top, that has not been true for Pentanet. It has actually been 4 games mid lane for Chaz. BioPanther yet to play the pick. That could change here, but for now I'm going to default to assuming that this is going to be mid lane here for Chaz. At the same time, Canyon's going to be able to grab the Udyr, which does leave Rumble available, but again, back to that kind of little triangle that I was talking about, I do feel like it's shaking out to Udyr greater than Rumble, Rumble greater than Morgana. So we do see them getting the advantage as far as that does go for Canyon. And Canyon has been a monster. People have been critical of his Rumble play, though, especially the positioning of his ultimates. The heat management is something that a lot of junglers have been getting flack for, Canyon included, despite the fact that he's been known as one of the best, if not the best, mechanical jungler in the world. And he'll have his opportunity to run the show against Pabu here in this game. Yep, Jace is the answer for Khan into the Gnar top. So again, it should be Lee Sin mid. That is going to be in the favor of Khan. This is an advantageous matchup. You also have the jungle 1v1 advantage. You have a 2v2 advantage. So this is going to be a tough one for BioPanther. But I will say, I think BioPanther has been the standout for me from this PGG team. It always feels like when they're falling behind, you're looking at a lot of deaths across the board, you look up to the top side, and BioPanther's having a pretty good game, generally speaking. So we'll see if he can hang on here, withstand the onslaught against this Jace, against Canyon, if he wants to get up there and try to really pressure this Gnar.
Okay, so let's see what the bans will look like here in the second half. We already got 2 of them. It's Senna and Leona banned away, as Samira is taken off the table here as well. Samira, one of those 80 carries you don't see as much in competitive play, but she's also very different compared to most 80 carries. She likes to dive in. She can do that I'm Katarina and Yasuo and everything else all put together, spin around with the resets, blocking all the projectiles. So take that sort of wild card out of the options of what you have to play against. Try to make them play something a bit more standard. Nocturne being banned out by Pentanet here, and it's back to Damwon for their 4th pick.
Exactly, and Kratos played Samira twice already in this tournament, and if you're looking at it from the side of Damwon, that is one of the best snowballing marksmen in the game, if not the best. You know, we've all had those games where Samira gets an early double kill, all of a sudden she's on shield bow, she's not losing health while you're focusing her, she's penta-killing your whole team.
Keyboard breakers, yeah, I've had some of those.
Yeah, so those are the kind of games that Damwon's looking to avoid here. Xayah going to be the choice over on the side of PGG. They could pair that with the Rakan if they do so choose. They will be going into the Nautilus plus Kai'Sa as the bottom lane over on their side. We're expecting 5th pick to probably be AP here or Showmaker. He's got a lot of options over there. That will be Alistar, looking like the choice here. So definitely a lot of engage there on the Alistar, and he's going to be most of their primary engage. Of course, there is the possibility of a flank from the Gnar, from the Lee Sin, but generally speaking, a lot of pressure here on Decoy to be able to start those fights, able to find the combo. And there is a good CC chain for kill threat that you can actually pull off here with the Alistar from Xayah. You combo in, the Xayah throws the feathers through, roots out of his stun, then you have the Alistar trample stacked up, so you can stun there right after that. So that's what they're looking for over on the Kai'Sa. Showmaker are going to go for Zoe here. fits really well with our composition. Traditionally, you do see Zoe with at least one additional poke style of champion. That's how most people like to draft her. In this case, they have Jace, early pressure up on the top side, winning matchup there. You then group up with the Zoe. You look to poke down and weaken up some of the PGG champions, and then you utilize the Nautilus, the Udyr to start up these fights. The Kaisa can fly in to follow that up, and you look to wipe them off the map here. So will be pretty exciting. I do think that Lee Sin should have pressure in mid lane as long as they're playing it at an even level, but that's not a given. Showmaker is an incredible mid laner. That being said, if you go Resolve secondary, if you start D-Shield, you E-Max, or even in some of these really tough mid lane matchups, you can put a couple more points in W to just survive the poke. Yep. You can shrug off almost all poke from some of these mid laners in the early game and just relentlessly shove, group up with your jungler, try to get things done on the map. And to me, that's Pentinet's chance. You know, when we saw them play Lee Sin earlier, and Lee Sin was locked in lane, stuck under his tower against RNG, that to me was actually kind of what ended that game, because Lee Sin needs to be moving around the map, needs to be proactive, getting things done. And I think especially against a team like Damwon, you can't be comfortable when you're at parity. You've got to create and snowball a lead.
So that's what we're sort of looking at here compared to last game. Because the question that I wanted to pose you is, we literally started this off by saying Pentanet is looking for an upset here in this matchup. Yeah. I think most people that are approaching this game from looking at the numbers, looking at the stats, would expect Damwon to be able to win. So I've been told that we have a pause as the game is starting, so I'm just going to ask this question that could have a potentially longer answer since we have the time to ask it. Along with Lee Sin in particular being able to not be stuck under the turret, sort of unlocking him to roam around and be that playmaker, what does this early game need to look like for Pentanet specifically for you to believe they have an honest chance against Damwon?
I mean, it's tough, right? Yeah. If you're closing your eyes and turning off the nameplates, the answer is very different than if you're answering for Pentanet versus Damwon.
We have nameplates enabled in this question.
Nameplates enabled. I'm not going to start believing unless they're like 5K up in the early game, right? Like, Damwon has not had a good early game and has been able to pull off so many wins despite having poor early games against stronger teams than Pentanet. And that is my honest answer, is that I think it needs to be a monumental lead for Pentanet to really have a good shot at closing it out. I think that when you look over at the other side, Damwon is going to be tough to deal with in the later stages of the game. A lot of poke. There's only really the Alistar for engage. So if the Alistar engage, gets kited back or stifled in some way, it's going to be really tough to actually close the gap to the Zoe and the Jace, and very likely Pentanet gets poked out and then taken down. So I do think they need an enormous lead, given the compositions, but also given the players here, because Damwon is so adept at playing out the mid and late game team fights, even from a deficit against the best teams in the league.
Yeah, Pentanet definitely has their work cut out for them here, but honestly, once we get past the pause, I am looking forward to seeing what sort of creativity they bring to this game, because I don't expect them to just walk quietly to their lanes and say, all right, guys, let's have a normal laning phase, shake hands and everything. I want to see Pentanet really try something wacky again. I want to see this team experiment. When the deck feels this stacked against you, when you're up against the team that everybody had as #1 or #2 coming into this tournament, you've got to be able to try something new.
Yeah, absolutely. And so Pabu is reporting that his runes did not save. League officials are investigating. We will give you an update as we receive more info ourselves. But that is what we are waiting on. So I assume Pabu has the long runes, unfortunately for him. But hopefully that'll get all fixed up. Anyway, yeah, I mean, you can look towards some of the crazy stuff. I'm not expecting a lane swap because Sion's not in the game, right? Sion, I think, was the key part of what enabled them to go for that earlier today against RNG. You have the Sion execute on bot side, take a buff, so you 3-buff to start it off. You go down, you get Dove, who cares? You're Sion, you clean it up with a zombie, you TP back to lane. That you can really pull off. If you try to pull off like a lane swap here with a Gnar, who's going to be down on the bottom side, zoned off all XP in the Dove level 1, it's probably not going to look that good.
No, probably not.
So I don't think we can get those kind of shenanigans. So then it becomes about, where is the playmaking? It's not from Rumble early game, right? It's not really from Gnar in a losing matchup early game. It's not from the Xayah. So to me, that's why I focus on the mid lane, because that's the only kind of point of inflection that I really do see. Alistar, I don't think, when you're talking about especially the level 1, level 2, is going to be able to get that much done against the Nautilus and the Kaisa. So I think so much comes down to, can Chaz lane well enough against Showmaker here to get the push, to create opportunities to swing the jungle matchup, right? You know, you're thinking Udyr has an advantageous matchup 1v1 against the Rumble. You're thinking Jace has the advantage against the Gnar. So that is where it's really tough, and we're in the game, so...
Okay, I have an update. League officials determined that Pabu did not save his runes. It was user error, not an error in the client or in anything else. They have determined that it was Pabu's bad. It was his fail. So the game is going through without the rune changes. Now, fortunately for Pabu, it doesn't seem completely disastrous. It's not like he took Grasp of the Undying or something. Conquerors, I mean, I think it's still pretty bad compared to Dark Harvest, but it's not the worst possible thing.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just cracking up to that barrel hook. not what you expect to see. I was like, well, they're gonna get decoy splash here. That sucks. Just face plant straight into a wall.
Sometimes it happens, man. You can't always be.
Who put that wall here? Who did that? Let's get a pause. That move, the wall move for sure.
Unlucky. Just a little bit of unlucky here early on. Before the minion spawn, he's getting the bad shots out of his system now. But let's see if Damwon decides to go for anything super cheeky here. The ward will be left by Pentanet at their own.
They're gonna start blue.
And they're okay. They can see Khan. They can see Canyon. They know what's going on.
Yeah. Now the question is, do you agree to split map, or do you try to contest in some way? Because you have the losing jungle map up here matchup for Pabu, I don't think you actually get an option. So I think it's like, sorry, bud, you know, you now have to play bot side, and good luck, BioPanther. You know, you're now going to be stuck on this island in a losing matchup, losing jungle matchup. You can see that Canyon's going over to the Gromp as well. He may actually want to do a full 3-camp clear on that side. He also has the option at trying to come in and contest at his own blue quadrant, but he will just do a full 3-camp clear. So it's going to be that swap of sides on the map. Rumble will play towards bot side. But look at this. Actually, Damwon's all going back to protect the blue. This is disaster. Now it's going to be a full 3 quadrants because the bot lane had push, Zoe had push, everyone from Damwon comes back, stops Pabu from being able to even trade sides. So it's actually not a map split. It's just a, we get the whole map and you get nothing split, which I don't even know what that is.
That's a trade offer like a Cloud9 scuttle crab. We don't like those trade offers
in the history of trade deals, maybe ever, Flowers.
That is not good stuff. When the best thing you can say about your level 2 as a jungler is at least I didn't give any gold when I died, it's not a good day. So Pabu's gonna have to go back to farming now. He lost his red buff, he's dead to the turret, and we'll just see Canyon get to have the time of his life in the jungle. 5-19
but
in the farm, Mr. Azael.
Bright side, when he kills the Krugs here, he's gonna double his CS.
Okay, that's the, I would call that silver lining, but it feels more like glitter on a really, really dark cloud, as you can see.
It's kind of more like a gum lining, like, you know, when it gets stuck to your shoe.
Like on the bottom of a chair in a public school cafeteria. Oh, isn't that?
That's where we're at, you know? We gotta deal with the harsh realities here, Flowers.
Oh, no, man.
The best you can hope for. It could be something worse, you know? I'm not going to go there, but it could be even worse.
Okay, well, right now, at least there's only one of these little scuttle crabs taken. Maybe Pabu can make his way into the topside river. He's got Chaz next to him with that mid lane priority, so Pabu at least won't get double crabbed. And considering his start, that is something that could have very easily happened. So we call this a dub here for Pentanet, grabbing that crab there in the top side. Khan's just playing back here, allowing BioPanther to shove out the lane. And we'll just see Khan be able to farm it up nice and easy. No problem with it. Pabu in the enemy jungle, stealing away the Krug, just trying to catch up a little bit here in this jungle.
They do know he's here, though, and Canyon's running straight up, and Jace can collapse. So you might be dead, or they might get the flash force. Khan can come down. Canyon can wait on the other side. As long as Khan wins the 1v1, you don't actually need to go over the wall here as Canyon. So flash force, now Canyon can come.
Yup, Pabu already flashing, walking back towards his own top laner. Canyon's here with a follow-up. BioPanther trying to run away. First blood over to Canyon, and they're about to make it 2. Bear slap into bringing down the hammer, and Khan picks it up.
Oh, you really hate to see it happen. Pentanet down about 2K gold here, 4 minutes in. This is looking like a toughie here for the OCE boys.
This is not the ideal state of the early game. Pentanet down 6.8 to 8.5K here in the gold. Showmaker has control over the mid lane. Khan has control over the top. And here is how the 2v2 went down. Khan just not afraid to throw it down here at the very start.
Yeah, I mean, this is just really smart, right? If Canyon flashes over the wall, Pabu flashes out, it's not really a big deal. Showmaker actually had cryo. You know, I talked about the importance of Lee Sin being able to move to try to make this composition work. Lee Sin could not move. He was under his tower. It's Showmaker that makes the first move. Khan forces out the flash. Canyon is there to follow it up. And Showmaker is there to secure that second kill. Dom1 playing this early game out so smart. You know, and one of the things that's always so interesting is a lot of times in these kind of map trade situations where one team's like, all right, I take top, you take bot, you both kind of high five and you just agree to it. You don't always have to agree to it. Dom1 definitely didn't this game.
Well, we got Decoy getting away here with a headbutt as an escape mechanism back on towards Canyon. So Dom1 try to make a move here on the bottom lane, but they will not find any kills from it here so far. Back up in topside as Khan continuing to just dominate the lane here. Canyon, after having the success in his first bit of jungling, was able to go back by the completed Ionian Boots of Lucidity. During the great run at them fast jungle meta of 2021 spring, we got to see these items be incredibly important for these champions where movement speed means so much, like Udyr. And so Canyon will be all over the map, picking up the first break here, 6.5 minutes in for Dom1.
Yep, I think it makes a lot of sense here as the early purchase, not feeling overly pressured to go for the tabbies or anything like that. So just grabbing Lucidity, grab that early bit of move speed, and you can see he's about 800 gold ahead here. Chaz getting pushed in. They're looking for a re-engage bot side.
Okay, the 2v2 is going all the way. Decoy taking a lot of damage here at the very front line, having to flash away. Stays alive. Ignite won't kill him. Outplay maybe from Praedyth, but no. They're stacking up the plasma. They're going to be taking him down too. Dredgeline comes out. Praedyth goes down.
Praedyth's trying to go for the big play there. They needed something special. They know they need some winning lane to swing this back because top lane is doomed. Jungle is doomed. Mid lane has been under his tower the whole game, so Praedyth going for what I'm sure he knows is a risky play. It's a flash blade caller for the redirect over onto Barrel, but he can't get it. He just goes down as well. So it's now 3 heavily winning lanes plus jungle advantage, all on the side of Dom1. And this one, I think, is about to start snowballing out of control.
Yeah, 3,000, 7.5 minutes in. Look at the plates just being slammed here in top lane as BioPanther arrives back to lane now. Still about 25 CS behind his opponent. Khan's just going to continue keeping the tempo high, keeping the wave shoved in, making sure that Dom1 has control over this top side of the map because look at Canyon. He's in the enemy jungle doing whatever the hell he wants. Yes, it's the Pentanet jungle, but when Dom1 has control over both of the lanes around it, all of a sudden Pablo's the one who's afraid to walk into the fog of war.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Chaz has farmed well, you know. So as far as the farm goes, as far as the gold goes, he's almost even, I believe. He's very close there. But the bigger deal is the fact that he can't get any pressure. He can't move around the map. Showmaker is always the one to push, then roam. That is the reason that Chaz is actually up in farm here. And that is really problematic because it's the same thing that happened to him on the Lee Sin against RNG. And when you cannot be proactive on the Lee Sin, the pick just does not have as much value straight up as a lot of the other meta picks, such as the Zoe. I mean, you know, it's even Zoe with Spellbook, utilizing that to get more utility towards later stages. And Jeanette looking for a pick. This is one of their hopes in the game, try to set up traps like this, and we'll see if they can pick off Khan.
Okay, Khan trying to disengage on this one. Meanwhile, back in the bottom lane, it's Praedyth dropping again. Ghost getting the kill on him. Meanwhile, the camera pans back to top. Khan's still alive, didn't even use the flash.
Yeah, he's got phase rush, and there was no CC. You don't have level 6 on the Rumble, so I think he actually just got that after the gank. They didn't have the Equalizer, they don't have Meganar, so really he just had to proc the phase rush and walk away. That's why the observers, rightly so, pan down to that bottom side, where Praedyth is going down again. It's now 2 kills, 20 CS, 2 plates, all on that top side. And BioPanther, you got a Herald behind you, bud. Apollo is here. They have Mega and they have Equalizer, so you gotta pray.
Yeah, they're just deciding to go for the 2v2. Ain't no turret to protect him any longer. Showmaker has decided it's his turn to join the fight now as well, with Khan going in for the damage. BioPanther falling over, and Showmaker grabbing a kill here for himself. Canyon continues the chase, but Pabu will be fast enough to escape. And here's Chaz, but he's not to the play in time. This is what you were talking about, Azael. When Lee Sin isn't unlocked to roam, when Lee Sin can't leave that mid lane comfortably, he shows up just to go ahead and attend the funeral of his team.
Yeah, it's just so tough, right? You know, in other matchups, it wouldn't be so important that the Lee Sin can get on the map. But when you have losing 1v1 in top lane, when you have losing 1v1 in jungle, the 2v2 isn't any better, the bot lane is falling apart, there's just so much pressure on a Lee Sin to be able to get out there, to be that playmaker, to be that difference maker, and he hasn't been able to do it just yet. And that was a really quick flash from Khan, deserving some credit there, able to react to BioPanther. If you land the Mega Gnar and the Equalizer does get layered, maybe you can at least salvage something from it, but instead, 10.5 minutes in, we are at 5.5k gold lead. All the objectives going in the favor of Damwon as well. They're going to be setting up for this Cloud Dragon here and looking to speedrun this game.
Yeah, remember back to the LCO, man. Pentanet wasn't exactly a team that had a high forward percentage. They weren't building those leads passively by having greater farm, by securing more objectives. A lot of their early strength came from kills and assists, right? They would take the right fights, they would get ahead through that. But in an 0-5 game, nothing to be found, man. Pentanet just feels like the early game has completely collapsed with this 6,000 gold deficit. Damwon are exactly where they want to be. This game is theirs.
Yeah, I mean, Damwon just entered this game so intelligently. I think they got advantages in the draft, but also they're level 1. The 3-man invade topside, knowing you have the advantage and knowing you can actually peel back. And
here we go again. Canyon has arrived. Decoy and Praetus getting themselves away. Pabu's here too, so Praetus will not die again. Does still have the Xayah ulti as well, so Damwon doesn't want to go completely ham on a dive. Meanwhile, back in the top lane, it's Khan just continuing to absolutely slam in this 1v1 with the Eclipse completed. Remember, all he has to do is hit you twice, and he immediately gets that bonus max health damage. He gets that shield, which is so effective at preventing those little bits of turret damage. That one turret shot that you would get for that, completely nullified by the shield.
Yeah, I mean, you see Gnar get chunked to what, 40, 50%, something like that? And Khan didn't even hit the Powered Shock Blast. If he hit that, he could have potentially just chased him down with the Phase Rush for a kill. So BioPanther is getting completely shoved back, but Damwon just looking to continue invading.
Okay, Beryl and Canyon going for the invade here on the enemy red buff. Showmaker coming through with a paddle star. Goodbye, half of Pabu's health. Let's see if they can finish anybody off here. Doesn't look like it. Pentanet decide to back away from this one. Tragically, though, that was BioPanther's teleport used for no sort of a punish, so another big resource spent now for Pentanet.
Yep, and meanwhile, Khan taking everything from the topside jungle to Pabu, losing his camps up there. Chaz gonna have to retreat. You can see the tower being taken in bot lane as well here by Ghost. This is really, really tough. I mean, Damwon has played this out incredibly well. I do think that the level 1 was played so intelligently. Not only the invade, knowing you had the early power, but the defense, winning out in the 1v1 and the 2v2, hidden bot, defending without even your jungler being there, just retreating back into your jungle, pushing Pabu out, forcing that execute. Really, from the word go, as soon as that happened, Pabu's kind of just screwed in this game, right? Yeah. You know, your one hope, if that happens to you as a jungler, is that you can get some random kill on the map instantly to get back in the game, right? And maybe you can hope for that in solo queue.
Not here, dude. But not against Damwon.
Exactly. Like, they know exactly where you are because they've taken all your camps. They know you have to try something, so they ward it out. And when that's prevented, it's just like, what do? You're going to be so far down.
Here comes Udyr, and he is ready to fight. Chaz tries to get away, dashes away with the safeguard to the ward. Because Pabu's there, they decide that they don't want to chase this any further. We'll see if Damwon goes for anything back in mid. Doesn't look like it. Azael, I'm going to ask a question here, because this is almost a 9,000 gold lead, 14 minutes into the game.
I liked your haircut better before.
No. Well, that just means you don't like my haircut. I'm going to pick.
No, your haircut now is great. Well, your haircut before was majestic, and I know that's what you're going to have.
Okay. Well, I appreciate what I think.
You were the Fabio of League of Legends.
Maybe it was a backhanded comment. I don't know. It was some kind of comment. I'm going to have to think about that later. Anyway.
You can pull it off.
Okay. Okay, I appreciate that. I will take that one as a compliment. But the question I'm going to ask you now, Mr. Azael, with us being 100 gold away from a 10K lead at 14 and a half minutes. Do you think this game will last longer than 21 minutes on the dot? I will give you the opportunity to take Baron and have it for 60 seconds.
I say yes. I say
okay.
it lasts longer. Yeah.
Longer than 21 minutes.
Yeah, I would say over that. I would guess under 25 is my guess. I mean, Dom1, I think, you know, if they get like if PGG opt into a random fight and they get aced and they can just happen to end the game before that, they will. But my guess is that knowing Dom1, they'll just create a massive lead, force it Baron early, you know, get the ace around there, and then look to actually push and end the game with the Baron buff. Of course, I could be wrong, but that's kind of my assumption here, just based on what they've shown.
Oh no, Pabu, there's an Udyr in your jungle and he's not leaving anytime soon. Barrel's right next to him. Nautilus and Udyr roaming around together. That is such a scary combination. It would be so difficult to be able to not only outrun Udyr, but then dodge on the CC coming out from Nautilus as well. Canyon taking the opportunity to go for a Rift Herald here. 15 and a half minutes into the game, picking up the second one here from the squad. And they'll be able to use that to take whichever turrets they feel like. They've already got 4 under their belt. Both the tier 1 and tier 2 in that top lane have fallen. Remember, and now it's time to apply the pressure elsewhere. BioPanther mid-hop getting knocked away with a hammer. Flashes out, but the flash follow from Khan means a solo kill for the top lane of Dom1.
Yeah, Barrel threatening to wrap around here will back it up a little bit. Canyon does grab the Herald, but he just goes back to farm his side of the map with it. They get the solo kill. It will mean that bottom lane tower, the tier 2 mid, pretty much gone at this point. So going to be tough for PGG to hang on. We'll see how long they can. I mean, if they get another kill here and Canyon drops Herald, I mean, they could just honestly maybe end the game right with that, but it just feels like Dom1 don't want to take any risks. As much as they are so far ahead and this game is pretty well decided, it's really important for Dom1 to pick up the wins here too. Right?
Oh boy.
You know, they're looking
okay.
to secure their spot.
Well, we already got the fight with Pabu being taken down to about 10% HP. Canyon grabbing the kill back on him. Barrels over the wall, staying safe there with a flash, but Khan on the flank is guaranteeing everybody from Pentinet's being sent home with a black and white monitor. Look at that, 4 for nothing for Dom1 kill.
Nicely done, Dom1. They're going to get the ace as well. It will be delayed.
It's going to take a while. He's going to have to chase after. Oh, these stupid blast cones.
It's kind of cruel almost. You know, Canyon just doesn't even care about ending the game. Like, he's just farming out the Raptors. He's going for more counter jungling. He's going to go grab the Dragon. He has the Herald. He could have just dropped it. Maybe end the suffering.
We got to pad those stats, man. They got to make it so in their next game we can bring up these crazy numbers about how I've actually, if anybody on the observer spectator team can answer this point, does Barrel have more money than Pabu at this point? Because with all the turrets, with all the plates and everything, I'm pretty sure Barrel has more money than Pabu. 42.59 versus 45.29. Yeah, Pabu is about 300 gold behind Barrel. That is the current state of the game here for Pentanet.gg as the world is just melting around them. Any sort of chance to compete against Dom1 has almost completely evaporated at this point with a 14,000 lead. 17 minutes into the game. They are so close to 1K per minute, Isaac.
Yeah. I mean, Khan is more than doubling Pabu's gold. It's like, let me just gank this Jace here that's 2 of me.
Yeah, he's actually worked through. He has Eclipse, he has the Dirk, he has completed boots, he has his Muramana about to evolve into the Manamune. Pabu's got shoes, a Lego set, a stick, and a ring with no stacks on it. This is... It's just not comparable.
Oh, that shock blast, and that was through a scratch shield.
This... Okay, all right, we got Dom1 sieging up outside the inhibitor turret of the bottom lane. Still 1.5 minutes before Baron is even allowed to spawn. Nobody's able to answer this from Pentanet. They're just trying to stick around. BioPanther goes in for the big Mega Gnar, but it won't matter too much just yet. Pentanet, they're on the board, baby. Chaz got the first one. 1 for 1 here in the bottom lane.
Nicely done. They still have the Rift Herald. Canyon will drop it, likely, I would think. Oh my God!
Oh, that was the classic Zoe experience right there. You had a health bar, then you didn't. See you later. Dom1. They're going to pick up their first inhibitor turret here
for the end
lane now. I believe they might.